Are you ready for the real deal? Gentlemen, did you realize there was a worldwide protest yesterday? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can see it everywhere. Just check your local news source. And I'm not here to talk about that. I'm actually here to talk about the people that were talking about it itself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my first video I'm going to show to you is here at the rally we had here locally. Now, this is from a farmer. Now, keep in mind, this is unedited. I haven't doctored anything. I'm not even going to add graphics to it. So let's take a look.
A march. Compared to yesterday when at the farm we were scurrying around trying to cover up newly planted vegetables that were at risk from the frost last night. Any of you who've heard of Bill McKibben, who runs 350.org, mentions that what we all talk about as climate change is actually, he likes to refer to it as climate weirding. And I think the event last night and the fact that we haven't had any kind of consistent weather in Northeast Ohio for years is an example of that. And if you don't think there's a connection between climate change or global weirding and what's going on in industrial agriculture, you haven't put the pieces together. Because the system that Monsanto is invested in and is trying to perpetuate uses 22% of the fossil fuels consumed in this country every year. And we all know where that leads. Before I go on, are any other farmers in the crowd today? Come on down here, guys. Come on down. I'd like to see you down here. Come on, farmers. Any other farmers? Come on up. Oh, I see my friend Dean over here, one of the usual suspects. So, I've had my farm for 3 years, and the first year we owned it, the land had still been rented out, and in spite of what I would have liked, the first year I owned the farm, I grew a crop of Roundup Ready soybeans, or my farm did. Thankfully, they're gone. What's been left behind is ruined soil and an incredible crop of weeds. One of the problems, and these guys down here with me, we are on the front lines of a fight to change the way food gets to your plates. And this is a fight that really leads from the corporate laboratory through the farmer's field and ultimately to the grocery store and to you. And it's a system that needs to change. And Dean is an organic farmer, as am I, and we're working to change that situation. We've got a number of things that are going on. Monsanto does not want farmers like us to survive. They would much rather deal with the guys who are growing 1,000 acres of corn and soybeans. It's much simpler for them, and it assures their profits. As you probably, many of you know, Monsanto is involved, I have come to the conclusion, is involved in an effort to create a almost cradle-to-grave monopoly on our food supply. And we, us as organic farmers, are not part of that picture. We're here to break the chain. Yeah, that's right. So, they're working at this on a whole bunch of different levels, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with them, but, what other corporation can sue a farmer when that corporation's product contaminates the farmer's crops? Does that make sense? No. What corporation has a law that protects its product from any kind of public scrutiny and is and which the government defines, the USDA by definition says that GMOs are safe. Do we believe that? No! What corporation, well, there are a number, but you know, we've seen, and I had just 2 weeks ago, I spoke to the Deputy Director of the Food and Drug Administration with regard to new food safety regulations. Guess what his job was before he became the Deputy Director of the FDA? Anybody know? He was the CEO of Monsanto. Yeah, that makes sense. So we see that, you know, they're working at all sorts of levels to take over what is really the most basic of human rights, which is to have access to healthy, safe, and adequate food. And you all are here today because we say we don't like the path they're going down. We do not like the fact that we have an agriculture system that destroys our soils, treats animals like machines, treats humans like interchangeable parts of a factory, that puts food on our tables that is not necessarily safe or nutritious. 80% of the soybeans grown in this country and 90% of the corn grown in this country is GMO, which means that unless you are buying meat and eggs and milk from a farmer who raises their livestock organically, you are part of the GMO food chain. Yep. No question about it. So we want to change that. We're here today to try to change that. And I appreciate the fact that you all have turned out to be part of what we have been dealing with for years out in the fields in trying to make a difference in how this is coming down. So, you know, beyond today, I think it's shameful that a president whose wife planted an organic garden on the White House lawn allows the kinds of policies that have been coming out of the USDA for the past 6 years. Ones that make it possible for Monsanto and the other agro-biotech companies to basically take over our food production system without any oversight or any kind of review of what they're doing and the impacts that it has. The science is just beginning to show the problems that we're seeing. You know, we know now Roundup does not, you know, do what it was advertised to do. We are seeing Roundup-resistant weeds. You know, and as an organic farmer, I am now fighting acres and acres of Roundup-resistant weeds on my farm. That's part of the legacy I've been left. Okay, so we're here today to change this. I think part of what needs to be changed, I'll finish with this, is make your public officials aware of how you feel beyond here today. You know, a lot of people think nothing can change in Washington. Well, I'm not sure I believe that. If Mitt Romney had been elected president, none of what we're doing today could make a difference. I do believe that if we can make our voices heard, the current administration will listen. They just need a little more nudge to get them to start doing the right thing. And I hope that you all will be part of that process. So thank you for your time.
Now, after watching that, you're probably wondering yourself, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I did some snooping around, and I found this video from RT Television via Creative Commons, They actually did an article on this about the farmers in India. So take a look at this and see if this changes your mind.
Well, Nick Burnaby, who's a social media director for March Against Monsanto, claims in some parts of the world the corporate giant's tactics are even leading farmers to suicide.
If you look at what happened in India, I mean, there's an epidemic of suicides of the farmers because Monsanto sold them a cotton seed that they promised would do a certain thing, and then those seeds didn't perform how they were supposed to, and it drove a lot of these Indian farmers into sheer poverty, and they ended up committing suicide by the hundreds and thousands even. Monsanto affects farming communities everywhere. I mean, in the United States, they're known for suing small farmers. There's a lot of small farmers that they're putting out of business because they have genetic migration into crops that weren't supposed to be GMO, but they're getting cross-pollinated.